The sun had barely climbed over the horizon when Ossoel left his village with a roll of parchment tucked under his arm. His dream was simple, yet it burned in him like a flame that would not go out. He wanted to build a house of his own. A place of warmth. A place that would not just keep out the rain, but hold in laughter, stories, and bread baking in the oven. He walked past rows of mud brick homes, their chimneys already breathing thin streams of smoke into the pale morning sky. Neighbors greeted him with nods, familiar faces who understood his hunger for more. They too dreamed of strong walls, wide rooms, and roofs that did not leak. Ossoel paused at the edge of the village, where two paths forked away from each other. One led toward the rocky hills, where the earth rose in jagged slabs of stone. The other wound down to the soft sands of the riverbank, golden and smooth beneath the shimmering water. He unrolled his parchment and traced the lines he had drawn the night before. 2 sketches. 2 houses. 2 choices. The stone would be harder, every hammer strike against rock would echo through his bones. But it promised strength. The sand whispered an easier story, soft earth, quick work, walls rising fast. But in Ossoel's chest, a question gnawed. Which foundation would hold when storms came? Ossoel was not alone in his journey. His childhood friend, Malchus, walked the sandy path that same morning. Malchus laughed as he passed Ossoel, slapping him on the shoulder. "Why sweat and bleed in the hills?" Malchus asked. His sandals left easy prints in the riverbank's sand. "Look here, this ground is smooth. The river is near. I'll have my walls raised before you've laid your first stone. We'll feast in my home while you still swing your hammer." Ossoel smiled faintly, but inside, doubt tightened like a rope around his heart. Malchus was clever, fast, and beloved in the village. Everyone admired how quickly he made things happen. And part of Ossoel wanted to follow him, to avoid the lonely labor of the hills. But something inside whispered, "Build where the ground holds steady." The days that followed were long and bruising. In the rocky hills, Ossoel's hands blistered as he hammered and chipped. His arms shook from carrying stone blocks, his back ached beneath the weight of timber. Every evening he stumbled back to his tent, fingers raw, sweat stinging his eyes. Meanwhile, Malchus's house rose tall on the riverbank. By the second week, the smell of fresh bread drifted from his oven. Lamps glowed in his windows at night, and laughter spilled from his door. Villagers gathered around Malchus, praising his speed and skill. And Ossoel, alone in the wind and dust of the hills, heard their voices echo like mockery. Doubt gnawed deeper. What if I'm wrong? What if I spend all this strength, and the stone betrays me? Some nights he lay awake, staring at the wooden beams above his unfinished roof, wishing the burden would lift. Is my house a fool's dream? He wondered. Then the rains came. At first, soft drops tapped the roofs like fingers drumming on a drumskin. But soon the skies roared, and the heavens split open. The wind screamed through the valley. Lightning flared like jagged swords above the hills. Ossoel's house shuddered, every beam groaning. He pressed his back against the door, heart racing, as the storm clawed at the walls. His mind whispered all his old fears. You should have chosen the sand. You'll lose everything. But the stone beneath his feet did not move. The walls trembled but held. The roof creaked but did not break. When morning came, pale and quiet, Ossoel stepped outside. The air smelled of wet earth and smoke. The hills glistened with rain. His house stood, scarred but steady, every stone locked in place. Then he looked down toward the riverbank. Malchus's house was gone. The sand had shifted beneath it, swallowed by the raging water. Fragments of wood and cloth floated in the swollen river. Malchus himself stood on the bank, clothes torn, face streaked with mud and despair. His eyes met Ossoel's, wide with shock and grief. Ossoel's chest ached. Part of him wanted to turn away. Malchus had mocked him, after all. They were from the same village, the same generation, bound by the same childhood games, yet Malchus had chosen the easy path. But when Ossoel saw the emptiness in Malchus's eyes, something stronger than bitterness stirred in him. He climbed down the hill, feet slipping in the mud, until he reached Malchus. The river hissed beside them, swallowing the wreckage of the house that once had stood. Without a word, Ossoel reached out his hand. For a heartbeat Malchus hesitated, the air between them heavy with pride and mistrust. Then slowly, with trembling fingers, Malchus grasped Ossorel's hand. Together, they stood in the wreckage, rain dripping from their hair. And in that moment, Malchus knew what Ossorel had known all along. It is not speed or ease that makes something last. It is the strength beneath, the ground that cannot be shaken. Some houses shine brightly for a while, but only those built on solid ground will stand when the storm comes.